There's a quiet line drawn in every room, in every city, in every life. It's not marked by wealth or talent, not defined by genetics or luck. It's the line between most people and the few. The many who wait for things to change, and the few who change things. It's the line between those who shrink in discomfort and those who use it as fuel. And that line separates those who want success from those who do what success demands. See, most people won't. Not because they can't, but because they choose not to. Most people won't wake up early to read, to reflect, to train the mind before the world gets noisy. Most people won't have the discipline to say no to things that feel good now, but destroy their future later. Most people won't build when it's boring, won't stay focused when it's lonely, won't persist when no one claps, won't be honest with themselves when the mirror shows weakness. But the few build when it's dark, train when no one's watching, and do what most won't every single day. They don't do it for applause. They do it for alignment. Because somewhere deep inside, they realize something most people never do. Your life doesn't rise to your goals. It falls to your habits. And habits? They don't change just because you wish they would. They change when you decide, truly decide, that who you are today is no longer acceptable. The man who changed his life wasn't the one who got lucky. He was the one who grew tired of his own excuses. The woman who built something great wasn't more gifted. She just kept showing up, especially when it was hard. Most people avoid pain, but the few, they run toward the discomfort because they know that behind every hard thing is the person they were meant to become. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. Discipline is not a punishment. It's a passport. It gets you across the border into the life you keep saying you want. But here's the truth. Most people lose at the gates. They get stopped by small urges, seduced by cheap pleasures, destroyed by the very convenience that was supposed to make life easier. They chase dopamine, not meaning. They chase relief, not growth. They chase the feeling of progress instead of real progress. And then they wonder why the years fly by, why they're tired but not fulfilled, busy but not becoming anyone new. Success is not buried treasure. It is not locked behind some guru's paywall. It is not found in 90-day plans or overnight shortcuts. It's in the thousands of quiet choices made when no one's watching. It's in the books read when everyone else is scrolling. The reps done when everyone else is sleeping. The conversations you have with yourself when the weak voice inside says, maybe later. You want to change your life? Start by doing what most won't. Most won't sit alone and confront the truth. Most won't take radical responsibility for their time, their body, their habits, their thinking. Most won't hold themselves to a higher standard when no one else demands it. Most won't keep going after failure. Most won't commit when the results are invisible. And that's what makes it beautiful. Because if most won't, then the advantage belongs to those who will. You don't need to be 10 times smarter. You just need to show up 10 times longer. You don't need to be naturally disciplined. You just need to stop negotiating with the lazy version of you. Discipline is a decision, not a trait. You can decide, right now, to stop waiting for motivation and start building structure. You can decide today to stop asking how long it'll take and instead ask, how far can I go if I stop quitting? That one shift, that one question, can change the entire trajectory of your life. You have to become the kind of person who refuses to break their word to themselves. Most people, they're loyal to their feelings. But the few are loyal to their commitments. You don't rise when it's easy. You rise when you push through resistance and prove to yourself that you are not a slave to emotion. Emotions are feedback, not commands. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you quit. Just because you feel afraid doesn't mean you stop. And if you think everyone who succeeded felt ready every day, think again. They just did it anyway. That's the difference. That's the line. That's the divide. And every day, you choose which side you live on. I've seen people waste decades waiting to feel like starting. And I've seen people rebuild their lives in months. Not because they had more time, but because they had more intention. Most people will scroll for hours, but won't sit still and think for 10 minutes. Most people will talk about goals, but won't plan their day. You know what's more important than motivation? Mechanics. What you do, what you repeat, what you allow, what you track. what you protect. You want to grow? Guard your inputs like your life depends on it, because it does. What you read, what you watch, what you say, what you believe, those are the architects of your future. So ask yourself, what are you building? Not what are you hoping for? Not what are you dreaming of? Not what are you wishing might someday happen? But what are you building with your habits, your words, your time? Because every day you're laying bricks. And whether you realize it or not, you are constructing either a life you'll respect or one you'll regret. And the difference? It's almost always this. Are you willing to do what most won't? Then do it. Do what most won't, on purpose, with purpose. Even when it's cold, even when it's quiet, even when no one's cheering. Because that's where your edge is. When the day feels heavy and your mind says, not today, train anyway. When life gets chaotic and the to-do list explodes, focus anyway. When failure mocks you and results feel light years away, show up anyway. That's the moment most people fold. That's the moment the average man justifies skipping. The average woman rationalizes quitting. But you don't need another reason to wait. You need one reason to begin. And if you're honest, you already have it. Your future deserves better than your excuses. You weren't put here to float. You were put here to rise, to build a philosophy so strong that not even disappointment can collapse it. See, personal philosophy is the foundation. It's what makes some men unshakable, while others collapse over nothing. It's the invisible code that governs everything you do, from how you speak, to how you work, to what you tolerate. Most people never take the time to build one. They drift, hoping life will somehow hand them the outcomes they envy. But philosophy doesn't show up, it's forged. Forged in the furnace of reflection, trial, failure, and discipline. It's the decision to live by principles, not preferences. To value truth over comfort. To choose responsibility over blame. To hold discipline above mood. And once that's installed, truly installed, your life stops reacting to circumstances and starts creating them. But here's the catch. Philosophy doesn't stick without repetition. That's why you must guard your habits like they are sacred. Every day, you are reinforcing something. Either weakness or strength. Either avoidance or action. There is no neutral. No such thing as just one day off. No such thing as just this once. You are either becoming more of the person you respect or more of the person you'll regret. Most people live by how they feel. The few live by what they've decided. And what you decide every morning to train your mind, to control your input, to attack the day with clarity and force. That's what rewires you. That's what transforms your life from scattered effort into relentless execution. I'll be blunt. The greatest enemy you'll ever face is the part of you that settles. The voice that says, you've done enough. The part that keeps track of effort instead of results. The whisper that says, it's okay to ease up now. That's not your intuition. That's your comfort zone negotiating its survival. And every time you give it a little more space, it grows. It expands until it wraps around your ambition and strangles it quietly in your sleep. You want to avoid that? Starve it. Starve your distractions. Starve your self-pity. Starve your need for validation. Starve the lie that balance means equal parts growth and indulgence. Because balance without vision leads to stagnation. And stagnation wears 1,000 disguises. Productivity without progress. Motion without meaning. Effort without evolution. You are not made for that. You are made to live deliberately. To trade weakness for wisdom. Impulse for identity. Noise for clarity. And that trade happens daily. Not once, not when you feel like it, but daily. So if you want to know what separates the few who build lives of depth, power, and peace, it's this. They do what most won't, long enough for it to become who they are. They don't sprint. They build. They stack. They show up on Tuesday just like they did on Monday. They train when it's snowing. They reflect when it's painful. And that one decision, that single quiet private vow, I will not go back, it changes everything. Because now it's not about hype. It's not about motivation or playlists or having a good day. It's about identity. It's about becoming the kind of person who refuses to return to average, refuses to shrink back into comfort, refuses to repeat the chapter they swore they'd outgrow. You want real change? Then bury the old version of you. Bury the one who procrastinates, the one who escapes into distraction, the one who waits for motivation to feel right. Bury the one who says, "I'll start next week." The one who lies to themselves with soft language. The one who mistakes movement for momentum. That version of you? It had its time. It served its purpose. But it does not belong in your future. What does belong? Conviction, clarity, relentless consistency, discipline that doesn't need an audience. There's a look in the eye of someone who's done negotiating. They don't flinch when it gets tough. They don't run when it gets quiet. They don't need a pat on the back because they know who they are becoming. They've crossed the line, not the one marked by money, not the one marked by status, but the one that says, "I will not live like most people. I will not die with potential unspent." And you can feel it in everything they do, how they walk, how they think, how they hold themselves accountable, not to perfection, but to progress. They fall, yes, but they don't stay down. They reflect, adjust, and rise with better aim. They live by this truth. I do not fear failure. I fear waking up in a few years as the same person I am today. You want to build a life of freedom? Then earn your own respect. Start keeping the promises you make to yourself. Start doing the work you said you would do long after the feeling that made you say it is gone. Start setting standards so high that laziness feels out of place in your presence. Because most people won't. Most people will choose ease. Most people will choose later. Most people will never become who they could have been because they were never willing to suffer now for what they wanted later. And that's the tragedy. Not that life is hard, but that most people never find out what they're truly capable of because they never stayed in the fight long enough to see the breakthrough. But you don't have to be most people. You can be the exception. You can be the one who rewrites the story. You can be the one who builds something from scratch with grit, patience, and zero apologies. You could be the one who looks back one day and says, "I became who I was meant to be because I did what most wouldn't." Then listen closely, because this is the part most people never reach. This is the moment when the path narrows, where comfort makes its final offer, and you stand at the edge, not of the world, but of yourself. Right here, right now, you decide if you cross the line for good. Not with noise, not with hype, but with conviction. Because from this moment on, there are no more backup plans, no more borrowed beliefs, no more waiting to be saved. You are the one who must lead yourself. You are the one who must carry your future like it's sacred. You are the one who must walk into the silence and build discipline from nothing but your word. You are the one who must become the person that younger version of you is desperate to see. No more asking for permission. No more hoping someone else makes the call. No more escaping into distraction while your dreams rot in the corner. You know too much now. You've seen the cost of settling. You felt the ache of playing small. So here is your new identity. The one who does what most won't. The one who stays when it's uncomfortable. The one who studies while others sleep. The one who leads, builds, finishes, grows. The one who doesn't break under pressure. Because pressure is where they forge power. You don't need to become superhuman. You just need to become someone who refuses to quit on themselves. And if you can hold the line, day by day, choice by choice, brick by brick, then one day, when the world calls you lucky, you'll smile quietly because you'll know the truth. You weren't lucky. You were relentless. You were focused. You were disciplined. You were the one who showed up when it was hard, who kept building when no one watched, who chose truth over comfort, and who walked the path that most never will.